Well, this is not how I wanted to spend a Thursday evening. Waiting for the doctor in the ER. Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So this video is not going to be a fun and uplifting video, but it is something I need to talk about and share about. This past week has been really crappy. And has been for a lot of people. You know, it was very emotionally draining this past week. Yesterday, I'm filming this video Sunday morning, actually the day that this is going to go up. Yesterday, of course, was Shabbat. I'm a Sabbath keeper. It was a very well-needed one. Very well needed. Last week, you know, most of the country saw the footage of that. Well, a lot of the country saw the footage of that young lady in North Carolina who was murdered on a train. And it was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. The look of terror on her face. She knew she was about to die, and literally seconds later, she was gone. And then the very next day, the day after I saw that video, the very next day, I saw another horrifying video. I was talking to a friend of mine, and they told me Charlie Kirk was just shot. I pulled up social media. I talked to her for a few minutes, pulled up social media, and I saw a video. And I really hope that that particular version of the video is no longer available, because it was incredibly graphic. And I have a little bit of a photographic memory. I remember what I see. Like, I can close my eyes and see the details. And I will never forget what I saw. Just like the terror in that girl's eyes, I'll never forget what I saw in the video of his murder. My heart breaks for his family, for his loved ones, his children, little bitty kids, his wife. So for me, because I hadn't seen the stuff about that girl until the day before, and then, you know, on the 10th, it was him. The next day, of course, being 9/11, which is never a good day. But it was an especially bad day for me and our family that day. On Wednesday evening, we noticed one of our dogs, Ute. He's our second youngest dog. He's about 6 years old. Noticed some lumps under his jaw. And so Friday morning, I took him to the vet. Or no, excuse me, Thursday morning, I took him to the vet. And didn't get a good report. So found out that he has full-blown lymphoma. Probably only has months to live. And of course, then I had to break that news to my husband, and that was devastating to him. My husband is very tender-hearted and loves our animals and loves Ute. He named him Ute. So that really sucked. And that's how Thursday started. And then, of course, throughout the day, just thinking about all the terrible things of the week and doing my best to actually stay off of social media. It didn't take long for the conspiracy theories and all of these things to come out. And of course, the celebration of his murder. I could not take seeing that stuff. And you know what? I don't care who's responsible for the trigger being pulled. There's a lot of stuff being questioned now. I don't care. The fact of the matter, he's dead. He leaves behind a wife and children, and it was gruesome to see. Someone died. It's a real person. It's a real death. And I don't care about the details. The Bible says that this world is going to get more and more and more wicked. Yes, there's conspiracies. Yes, it is an evil world that we live in, and it's only going to get worse. So why do we need to focus on the details? Because all those details do is distract us from the mission that we are given as believers in Yeshua, in Jesus, and followers of God. Our mission, our commission, is to share the gospel and make disciples. And the more time that we spend focusing on conspiracies and all of these things, whether they're true or not, is time that we are not doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. And that's kind of where I have come to at this point. I have stepped back from social media. I mean, I'll still manage my pages and stuff, but like Instagram's off my phone and things like that. I'll still watch a little bit of news, but I am not focusing on that. That is not my focus. The darker this world gets, the more light needs to shine from us. That light of the Father, of His Spirit, of the message of our Savior needs to shine through us, the darker this world gets. And that is what we're supposed to be focusing on. We need to remember what our mission is. So that's where I'm at on that. But like I said, Thursday started terrible, and it only got worse. My mind was just, emotionally, I was upset over all the stuff that had happened. The girl, Charlie, our dog. And so that was like, my Thursday daytime was just, sad. And then Thursday evening rolled around, and, we have like this routine. We feed all of our animals. We do all the chores, and I jump in the truck and I go feed. There's a German Shepherd that had been abandoned out here, and I've been caring for. I had him on a wait list for a rescue, German Shepherd rescue and everything. When we first found him, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with this dog. I never brought him here because I did not trust him. Shepherds have strong prey drives. You have to be very careful, and we've got way too many animals to bring an unvetted animal here. So I had been caring for him. A few weeks ago, there was something that completely changed with him, and suddenly he was like my own dog in his behavior. Very friendly, loved all the pets, happy to see me, all those things. However, Thursday I ran some errands that afternoon, and I went to Tractor Supply to pick up dog food, and there was a dog toy on clearance. And I'm like, oh, let me get him a toy. The Shepherd. And so Thursday evening, did the chores, jumped in the truck, went to feed him. I pulled the toy out of the truck and I threw it for him. And he walked over and he sniffed it and he just walked away. Like he really didn't care. I'm like, okay, well, toys aren't his thing. So I was getting ready to feed him. And I've shared in the past that where he was abandoned, there's 2 sofas that somebody dumped. And so I've been kind of using these sofas as my work or like a sofa as like my workstation where I would open up the cans of food, you know, put them in his bowl, da 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 da. And so I walked over to start doing the food, and he had gone over by the tree line. And when I walked over to the sofa, the toy that I had tried to give him was laying there on the ground right there, like right next to my feet. So I reached down to pick it up, and I was going to throw it for him. And the moment I bent down to get it, and my hand touched the toy, he launched at me and attacked me. He first went for my hand that had the toy, and it was my right hand. The stuffed animal blocked him, so he bit my hand, but he didn't break the skin. You're not going to be able to see it on camera, but like all right in here, it's swollen, it's bruised, it's very tender. Palm of my hand's bruised and tender. But he didn't just come at me once. With the initial strike, I threw the toy down and I pulled back and I yelled no. And he came at me again. But this time, he launched at me and he came for my throat and face area. And I put my hands up and I blocked him and I threw him down as he's biting my hand. He launched at me again. Again, I'm yelling, stop, no. I'm throwing him away from me. He's biting me repeatedly. He keeps coming from my throat and my face. And I'm throwing him down and I'm yelling, stop. And he just kept coming. Launching at me, biting me every time. At one point, he got a hold of my hand, ragdoll shook it. Blood is going everywhere. He ripped open the top of my hand. I mean, there's like blood flying everywhere. He's coming at me again, and there were so many thoughts running through my head. And all I could, at one point, after he'd ripped open my hand and he was coming at me again, I'm like, he's going to kill me. And I'm like, no. And I'd been yelling at him to stop, pushing him away, yelling no. But this time I yelled again and I yelled no. And I can't explain it, but it's like something besides just myself was yelling no, because it like reverberated. And I yelled no as he was like coming at me again, grabbed my hand again when I did this, and I yelled this powerful no. And he stopped. And I threw him back down. He stayed down this time. He looked at me and he ran away from me. I was able to get to the truck. I keep baby wipes in the truck, and I'm like, well, I need to clean my hand off. As I'm trying to clean it off, I'm realizing these baby wipes are not going to do a thing, so I ran to the back seat. We keep some towels in there. I had to wrap it up in a towel, put pressure on it, and all this stuff. I do have a first aid kit in my truck, but I wasn't far from the house, so I wrapped it in the towel and I came to the house. I didn't know how bad it was going to be, but as I came in, I ran into the bathroom, tried to wash my hand off. It was excruciating. I saw how bad my hand was. Not to go into much detail, but I could see more than just flesh. And I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. And so wrapped it back up and I went to the hospital. And when a dog attacks, by law, the hospital has to notify law enforcement. And so law enforcement has to get involved. He was trying to kill me. because I touched a stuffed animal that he'd had for 15 seconds approximately and hadn't shown any interest in, but because I was going to touch it, or I touched it, he was going to kill me. And this is why I did not ever fully trust him, and why I never brought him to my house. I give credit to the Father and the Father alone for the fact that I'm here today, because he was not stopping. He was not stopping. I don't even know how many times he launched at me and I threw him down, and how many bites he miraculously only got to my left hand, thankfully, because I'm right-handed. He wasn't stopping. And I truly believe that the Father protected me that day. Law enforcement did get involved. They were going to go out there and set a trap and take him in. However, when the officer got out of his truck, the dog attacked him too, and the officer had to defend himself. This is not how we wanted things to go with this dog. I had hope that he could have been rehabilitated, saved, rescued, etc. But sometimes animals are not able to be. And sadly, this is how it turned out. The officer's okay. He was shaken, I think. Because I've spoken to the same officer before. I've met him on a couple other occasions for different things, and his demeanor was very different, and I think it shook him because that dog came for his throat too. Like I said, I had to go to the hospital. They had to do, they soaked it in this solution to clean it out, clean out the holes and the lacerations in my hand. At one point, I think his canine tooth went completely through my hand. But they did x-rays and they confirmed that nothing was broken. There's just a lot of like tissue damage and stuff like that. It'll heal, but it's going to take time. They couldn't put stitches in it because while there were lacerations, it's mostly puncture type wounds, and you can't really stitch those closed because they go so deep. There could be stuff in them, and the body needs to be able to push that out. So it's all open, and it'll just have to be kept dry and clean and wrapped and, all that stuff. So it'll heal. And hopefully I don't have, like, any permanent damage. Like I said, this was just not the kind of video I wanted to make, ever. But I needed to give y'all an update and let you know what happened. And the crazy thing is, and you can take this for what it is, you can dismiss it or whatever, but Thursday morning, the day, this happened, right before I woke up, I had a dream. And I dreamed that the dog was going to die. And I didn't know any details. I dreamed that the dog was going to die. And then I woke up. And I remember my first thought being, is he going to get hit by a car? I don't know. It stuck with me. And, a few hours later, I take my dog to the vet. I find out he's dying. And it was just like, what is going on here? And then that evening, all of this happened. And as I was driving to the hospital, I was like, dang it. Because I knew with all of this happening, law enforcement would be involved, and that was going to be the end of him. Dangerous dog. So Just as a little bit of a follow-up on all of that, though, now we have testing being done because this dog had no history and because he was violent and dangerous. They're testing him for rabies to make sure he didn't have rabies. And so we're waiting for the health department to get back on those results and just praying that it's negative. Honestly, I don't think he was rabid. When I got out of the truck, everything was perfectly fine. He was still happy-go-lucky. You know, I was petting him. He loved seeing me, etc., etc. It was when I touched that toy that he now deemed instantly his is when he snapped. I have actually encountered an animal before that had rabies back when we lived in Alabama. A skunk, believe it or not. I don't think he had rabies unless it like just happened and he wasn't symptomatic or anything yet. But you know, prayerfully, I'm sure that the test will come back negative. I'm not worried about it, but I'll let y'all know, because if it comes back something else, then I honestly will have to do a lot of praying about what to do. So, but yeah, I needed to share with y'all what happened so that you would know, because I know he would be asking, how's the dog doing? The dog is gone. And it's not what we wanted, but it's just how it went. And again, I'm grateful at this point to be alive. And I'm thankful to the Father, because it could have been worse. And frankly, something that my friend said, and I think is true, was that if that dog was going to attack somebody, better for it to be me than someone else, because there was a lady with little kids, and I think she's one of the people who's been stopping and caring for this dog. Now, I've been feeding him twice a day, every day, bought him the dog house, you know, all this stuff, but there's been other people, at least 2 other people that I know of, stopping and giving him things. And one of them was a lady with little kids. And what if she had stopped to give him something and tried to throw that toy for him, and her kids were in her vehicle and saw it? What if it went worse than it did for me? What if one of her kids got out and tried to play with the dog? That would have been devastating. So, if it had to happen to me, so be it. I'm just grateful nobody else got hurt. So, that is it for today, y'all. Sorry to give you such a downer video, but this is real life. And as hard as I tried, and as hard as we try for all the animals, sometimes you just can't save them all. So, with that, God bless, and I'll talk to y'all next time.